This is Robert with Pioneer Smokehouses, and today we're going to talk a little about generating smoke in a smoke tray or in a cold smoke generator. So first thing I'm going to do before we get started is I'm going to go ahead and light these three trays so they're ready for us when we're ready to talk about them. I went ahead and got those lit, and the way I like to do it these days is I like to take a haystack lighter and pull a little piece off of it and then put it in. I'll show you some pictures of that later, but first let's go ahead and talk about a couple of things. Now, in most of these trays, what I predominantly use is I use pellets. Now, you can use wood chips, but they don't really perform well. If you're gonna use a wood chip in a tray that has a tight mesh, I recommend that you use a fine grain like this kind of wood, and it will light and burn better. You do want to make sure that you don't put this in a full-size electric smoker because it will burn up instantly. Now we're going to go ahead and check these out, and we're going to start with my favorite. Now, I just barely lit this, so it normally requires a lot more lighting than that, and I'll go ahead and hit it again real quick. So there's a little hole, and I'm going to show you on this one right here. There's a little hole on the side where you light it. I like to take a small piece of paper and stick it in there, just to cover that hole completely, so that way when I'm filling the pellet tray, none of the pellets come out, and I can light that piece of paper up. Behind that piece of paper, what I like to do is I like to take a small cluster of the haystack lighter and stuff it in there. So this is your traditional haystack lighter, and then I'll grab a piece like this. I have trimmed this off already, so it's not a full-size one. Get a piece about that big, and then what I like to do is put my piece of paper in here and then stick this in right behind it, like that. And then what I do is I fill it with pellets to hold that in place. And then after the pellets are in there, when I light the paper, this will light up and it'll get it going. It's not going to completely light it with this small amount of haystack lighter. What it will do is it'll get it warm and it'll start generating a little bit of ashes and coals going. By doing that, then, just like I just did here, you'll be able to get an instant fire right away and get that thing burning good. Once you have it burning to where the fire will stay lit, then what you do, you blow out the flame, and then you have instant smoke. When it's smoking at full speed, a full tray of this will run me about 12 hours. The manufacturer says it goes 12 to 16, but I've never gotten 16 hours out of a tray of this. I usually average 8 to 12, depending on how well I light it. But I usually don't even light the whole thing. If you see here in this example, you see that I've only filled 2/3 of it. Now this is just for the demo, so that way you could see how it snakes around. But on a normal cook, I would just fill around the corner, maybe half of the tray, because I'm not going to use it completely. I like to use this to add additional smoke to electric smokers and pellet smokers because they don't get that much smoke. They actually burn, pellet smokers actually burn extremely clean. I'm going to go ahead and just set this one over here for now. Then we're going to talk about my favorite tray for pellet smokers. The reason I like this one so much is the pellet tube, is because for some reason it just tends to work really well in pellet smokers, especially near the end, away from the heat source. What I like to do is I like to use something that's fireproof, and in this case we just have a piece of scrap metal here, and then I set that on the rack like this. I think I'll go ahead and I'll put the tube in there, then I'll go ahead and do that. First, let me show you a picture of the haystack that I stuffed in there. I put the haystack in there, and then I added a little bit more pellets to hold it in place and to help with the lighting. What you have to remember is that I only filled this halfway, and when you fill it halfway, it's going to be very difficult for you to get the flame down in there. So unless you have some kind of camping lighter with an extender, getting that flame all the way down there will be a challenge. I'm just barely reaching it. Since it's going, it's sparking right up. But if it weren't already lit, it would not light up like that. So I'm going to go ahead and blow that out and see how well it's smoking. And I know that the two are a little fighting for smoke there, but you can see how well that's smoking. Now, I will go ahead and set this in there just like I would normally use it. I would set it a little bit to the side here. There is a seam here, a solid line, and I don't like to have that solid line on the top. I'm not sure if it should be like that, but I find that by keeping that solid line to one side or the other, that it smokes better. If you put it on the top or the bottom, it just seems to affect the burning. So that's just a note. When you have that in there like that, and you're burning this, you can close the lid and it will just pump through the smoke, which is great because it adds a lot of smoke flavor to your pellet grills, especially this little Traeger here. When I purchased this, included with this tube smoker is a small kit. And I want to show you this. But first, it has a basting brush, which I have like 4 or 5 basting brushes, so I haven't bothered to open this one yet, but at some point I will. I just recently broke one of mine. Then, it has a cleaner for the tube, and you can just stick that in there and use it to clean that. And also, this can be used to clean some of your other smoker stuff. Once you get, ashes and smoke on it, you might as well just use it for that. But it fits right in there and is really good at brushing that thing clean to get all of the ashes out. And keeping all of the holes clean on the sides of the tube will allow better airflow and get you better results. Then the final thing that I find is really important is these hooks. Now, I've only used these hooks a couple of times, and it was just for a light smoke, so they are brand new condition. But the best thing about these hooks is that you can hang them off of electric smoker shelves, so that way your tube will stay up. I'm going to grab a shelf here real quick, so that way you can get an example of what I'm talking about. So you see, take these two like this and hang them like that. We'll cut for 1 second while I hang this on there. I think it'll be easier if I put it back in the smoker. I'll be right back. So I put the shelf in the smoker, and then I just put the hooks through the holes. What you do want to do though is if you can get this end up just a little bit higher, it works better. It keeps the coals from falling away from the other pellets and allows it to burn evenly all the way through. So if you can get this up a little higher, like this, basically by hooking it to a lower hole, then you'll get better results. So the next one I want to talk about is the newest one that I've got. And I just bought this because I wanted to give a test try to the round ones. So I've only used it one time before today's video, and it performed the same as the other ones, but I felt like that it smoked just a little bit less. And In the examples, it was called for wood chip smoking. So I think that I'm going to give that a try and give you an opinion on that. Maybe I'll throw in some pictures later. But let's go ahead and relight it because we haven't relit it since I did the initial lighting. Again, you see the picture here, I stuffed in some of the haystack along this underneath and then put a few of the pellets on top. So that way the pellets would get a good chance to get going and form coals, and as the haystack burned away, drop down. If you're going to light this, like I would say on automatic, it's great to throw in a big wad of these and let them run. Now this is still burning, so I'm going to let it burn for a second longer, but then I'll blow it out. You can see the other two here are both burning right along. When I do blow it out, I like to blow on it just a little bit to get it going. My tip or trick for doing this is to use a small hair dryer and the fan set on low with low heat will actually make this thing light really fast. And because we have this here, I'm going to go ahead and give this a try real quick. It is essentially a blower, so it should get those coals going really nice and hot. Now I only use this to light the stuff. We wouldn't use this as we smoke through because it would cause a fire to ignite. And there we go. We have a nice little fire burning. Again, like I said, I only tested this once and I thought that it could have smoked a little bit harder, but maybe that's because it's not intended for pellets. I think I've covered everything here. I want to give you a couple of tips now. One thing when using these in a smoker is that you want to make sure that you're getting enough airflow. If you're talking about something like a two-door, possibly a Masterbuilt propane smoker, you leave the bottom door open, even if you just put this on the bottom shelf. That way air can come in and this thing will get enough air to burn and smoke well. Another thing, you can create an external box. I call this a birdhouse, and I'm going to show you real quick how we use it. I have it's shaped like a birdhouse, but slightly higher on the one side than the other, and then a pipe that is matched up to fit inside the Masterbuilt. You could match it up to fit inside anything, and it would just you just drill a hole in the side of your smoker and make it work from there. I'm going to insert this in here. And do not block this door because it needs the oxygen to burn. I'm going to set it over here. And if you want to increase the angle just a little bit to get a little bit better smoke flow, you can just put a block like that. Or you can make your pipe at a different angle, whatever works for you. The nice thing about something like this is you can do it with wood, just don't put a bottom on it and make sure that the surface that you set it on is fireproof or fire resistant, like some garden bricks or some stepping stone tiles. But you can see how much smoke is just pumping through that thing. Again, this has to stay open. Another trick is that you can remove your bottom trays. If you have oil trays or anything that allows oil to drip out of the bottom of your smoker, simply by removing those or setting them on the ground underneath, like with the Masterbuilt electric, it's part of the bottom of the smoker. You remove that, there's a hole there, and that hole takes in fresh air, which will allow the smoker to breathe better. But with this solution here, we remove the whole thing, and if you hold on to this pipe, you'll find zero heat. And that doesn't mean it won't heat up a little bit over time, but you think about how far removed we are from the fire to the smoker, and this works great. I do like to get this in as far as possible. That way we can get the smoke into the middle of the smoker. Something like this can also be used on the Bradley, and I don't want to move it over here, but with the Bradley you could easily remove the biscuit feeder control module and just slide this in to the hole. You just want to use a couple of blocks of wood to get the right height on all of your components here. So I think I've pretty much covered everything. My favorite has been for years the Amazing Smoke Tray. And when I say that, I mean, I think I'm on my 4th one now. This is my first one, and it has a little hole burnt here. And I save it because it was in a little bit better condition. The other one I left out in the rain and it rusted, which tends to be a theme with me. And then on another one, I actually sold it with one of my smokers to my buddy. And this is my brand new one right here. And you can see how well these things work. And 12 hours, I mean, you know, if you want a hot smoke, you can turn the thing on the digital or on a Bradley or something and leave it on low, and you will get the hot smoke that you're going for with constant smoke for 12 hours. If you see anything you like in this video, I have links below. Those are affiliate links to Amazon, so I will get compensated if you use those. Thank you, I appreciate it. Also, there'll be an article for smoking indoors linked, which uses this and a couple of other smokers, like a smoker pan. And I think that covers everything for today. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Have a great day.